Okay, in today's video, Wodan the Shaman has traveled to Lesser Fate Arc and into Castle Mistmoore, the iconic, classic dungeon and my all-time favorite in Everquest. And I don't know if I've ever really done a dedicated video. I uploaded one video of my magician, or a magician, on P99 in Castle Mistmoore, but that was the only time I ever did. So, for today's little adventure, Ventor is joining the Shaman, and Ventor is a Shadow Knight who hits like a truck. He's got a massive Valium Claymore. The damage is 32, delay is 37. So he has an extremely powerful weapon. He's got a flowing black silken sash and a lot of hit points. I'm at 911 hit points right now, which is pretty good for this level. And considering I don't have any hit point rings. But really, the Shadow Knight's trump card, above all else, is his level 9 spell, Disease Cloud. The aggro on Disease Cloud is insane. It's extremely insane. So I was like, I gotta try it out here. So I get on my Shaman. I cast my level 24 nuke, Frost Strike, which does 141 damage per shot. And it does full damage every time. I nuke 3 times in a row. And never pull a whiff of aggro. So my last video was about root bombing. And I would have to say, if there's any reason or any way you can make it work to where you want to play a caster who's nuke centric, if you want to build a group that allows you to just nuke unrelentingly, not have to kite, not have to fear kite, not have to root, where you completely, your hands are completely free to just nuke as much as you want, the Shadow Knight can make it happen for you. I've done a little bit of triple boxing here in Mistmoore. And I just didn't for this video because I wanted to take a little break and just kind of simplify it a little bit. Just do a classic tank healer combo. Easy to manage, you know, not super fast XP, but pretty good. And I was very surprised at the Shadow Knight's damage output. It's always a great feeling because he's hitting max for like 74, which is harder than the mobs he's fighting, and that's always a great feeling for me. I just like the idea of being able to hit harder than the mobs I'm fighting, which that's usually not the case. But as you can see from the melee spam, he does very good damage. It is a bit sporadic. It's not something that's steady or reliable, but he's crunching for like, he's doing double attacks that equal over 100 damage. And when you're fighting mobs at this level range, when you can do those big chunks of damage, it's awesome. And I have a rogue who's level 24, and he's well geared. He's got haste, he's got a good, I think it's a 13 damage piercing weapon. So he's capable of doing very good damage. He's got good gear, but I haven't parsed it, which I haven't really done any parsing on since I came back to Everquest, to P99 and to this server, but I'm a little bit suspicious that my Shadow Knight might be outdamaging my rogue. Excuse me. Because it's just, like my rogue, he can backstab for 120, but he doesn't always. And a lot of times he'll do like 25 damage or no damage, just miss. And it just kind of, just eyeballing it, I'm wondering if my Shadow Knight is actually outdamaging. Oh yeah, I got a ceremonial XR chestplate for my Shaman. And what I'm planning on doing next is making a macro so I can at least cast Cannibalize a couple times and then sit down to where like I don't have to sit there and waste time recasting cannibalize when I could be pooling. So the whole idea is to just kind of automate it a little bit. Unfortunately, the macro um, interface for Everquest is a bit limited. So I have a feeling I'm only going to be able to fit in like 2 casts of cannibalize and then have him sit back down. But even if that's the case, it's still something that it's not going to take away from my time, and it's going to keep the mana regeneration at a higher level compared to just hitting cannibalize over and over like a lot of shaman do, and then just kind of regenerating your hit points back. So my plan is to make a macro for cannibalize and just kind of periodically hit it, and I don't have to worry about sitting him back down. It's just part of the mechanics of two boxing. But even in a regular group, if I'm not boxing at all, it'd be cool just to be able to hit a button, get a couple of casts of cannibalize in, and then automatically sit back down and not have to worry about managing that whole bit. And actually, on P2002, you can get a mount. So if you have a mount, your mana regeneration is constant. So even while you're casting spells, you're always considered to be sitting down. And that's a huge advantage as far as your overall mana regen, because you lose lots and lots of ticks of mana regen, of sitting regen, when you have to stand up to cast. And actually, probably if I was like being a little more methodical, planning this out better, I probably would have waited until I had enough money to buy him out, so my shaman could always cannibalize all the time and have some crazy mana regen on his own and really be able to carry the group. But I have a feeling I'll be able to get by just fine using the XR regeneration breastplate. There are a few differences on this server as far as the mobs go, at least in the pond area. It seems like there's a higher chance of caster mobs, and sometimes the mobs will walk all the way up to the top of this ramp, and it seems like the last time I was here on P99 they didn't actually walk all the way to the top of the ramp. But here you got to be careful. You don't want to go AFK very long, because they will walk right up to the edge or to the top of this entrance area here and attack you. And because of the damage this Shadow Knight's doing, I was almost wondering if, like, maybe if I, instead of using a rogue, maybe I'd be better served having a paladin and giving my heavy weapons to the paladin, and then, or tweaking the paladin, because these two-handed Valium weapons aren't actually very expensive. Like, I bought mine, I think I bought this for like 800 plat, maybe. I can't remember for sure, but it wasn't very expensive. And I was just thinking maybe if instead of using the rogue, I had a paladin. And all I really want a paladin for is the pacify line of spells and stuns, because when you fight in Mistmoore very long, you realize the casters are going to make your life miserable, because they're constantly either nuking or healing. The healers are really bad. I mean, it takes forever to kill them if you don't have a way to interrupt their heals. So I don't know. I mean, but I was just thinking, because the rogue does good damage, but I'm not sure if it's as good as I felt like it should be. And if I have a paladin and he's doing maybe not as much damage as the Shadow Knight, but very similar damage, I could have the Shadow Knight pulling, or no, the paladin pacifying, Shadow Knight pulling, tanking, holding aggro, and then the paladin, I just basically park him next to the Shadow Knight and hit auto attack. But I'm definitely interested to see how the damage is going to scale on this weapon, because at this level in particular, like I pulled aggro here, but it's only because I didn't disease cloud the pledge attacking my Shaman. If I had, she never would have touched it. But I can get aggro back to no problem. And for my Shadow Knight, I actually have the parts I need for the Temple of Sol Sekiro chest armor. Except I believe I need a Minotaur horn. I'm not sure, but I believe I do. But I have the pieces. Kazakh Thul's been revamped, so it's now a level 50 to 60 zone. And all of the mobs that used to spawn inside of Kazakh, which were really hard to get to, especially the Shadow Knight quest armor drop mobs, now they're outside and really easy to pull. And so I camped them a while back specifically for the Shadow Knight's pieces. And then I just parked my Shadow Knight next to my group in, I guess, the Fiorot. And as the pieces dropped, I would loot the pieces. And when I got extra pieces, I would just have another character loot them. So if I ever wanted to have more armor just to sell, I can. But he does have the boots, which are red. So I'm going to guess the whole armor set is going to be red, which is pretty cool. It's like a deep crimson red. So that's pretty cool. Like all he's wearing is chain right now. Pretty much everything he's got is chain. And I've stuck with it because it has the high hit points on it. But what I want to do is I want to switch over to the Quested Shadow Knight armor and then buy a couple of rings, like 65 hit point rings. And then there's a necklace you can get, a player crafted necklace. I think it gives you 65 hit points and 65 mana, if I remember right. So I can kind of make back the hit points I would lose. But as always with me, it's as much about looking good and having a character that you can really get into and kind of enjoy visually. So I'm going to sacrifice some hit points that I've got on this armor by going to the older era quested Shadow Knight armor. So hopefully sometime soon I'm going to get more pieces for Ventor here and he can get really decked out. But the potential for this character is really great now, because now I have a tank who can hold aggro easily. The only option I've got is I need to, like the Shadow Knight, he gets feigned death, so it'll be a possibility I could feign pool, but mechanically I never liked it. Like I never trusted it, because sometimes, like if it fails, you really get crunched and you get a train and it's just not good. But if you have Pacify and you can single pull, even if Pacify gets resisted, it doesn't pull aggro. So there's no reason, you'd be crazy not to use Pacify. So I have a feeling that's what I'm going to do, but it's just great because I really need a dungeon focused group. Like I have my Necro and Ranger who are great for fear kiting, but I really need a dungeon group, and to do dungeons you really need a tank. Like I have a Beast Lord who's level 44, and his pet can definitely tank, no problem. The issue I've got is when I have to use the Beast Lord to pull, or somebody to pull, but generally the Beast Lord is my best option. If I use him to pull, then the pet has to get aggro off of him, and sometimes it takes a while, and there's ping-ponging, and it gets messy. You know what I mean? When your puller can't let go of the aggro. So I would say the Shadow Knight is going to be perfect for being my main tank. And it's just kind of a question now, because I have to choose between using I think actually maybe it's really tough when you're triple boxing and you're limited to 3 tunes, because like the Shaman is an outstanding buffer and slower, but if you ask him to heal too, he's really going to struggle keeping up and you're going to get bottlenecked. The problem is if my third character, I would really like to be DPS oriented and be able to help a lot on damage and just make damage go by quicker. So I kind of feel like the Paladin would be a good choice for it. And also, the Paladin would be not using very much mana for Pacify, so there, potentially he could help chip in on heals, but I definitely know it's a little bit iffy to try and ask a Paladin to do much healing in a group, but I don't know. I mean, Beast Lords can heal too, but not very well. It's just hard to make up my mind right now, but for the time being, I'm gonna hopefully push through the levels and get my Shaman. My next goal for my Shaman is obviously 29, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do Mistmoore all the way to 29. I'll start kind of light bluing around 27 here, and I actually earlier tried to fight my way all the way up to the graveyard, and it was a major headache. Plus, the graveyard's full of cleric mobs, which, if you don't have a stunner or basher, are going to be a real problem. So, yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going to hunt next. But anyway, that's all I got. Shadow Knight and Shaman. Awesome combination. So, anyway, that's all I got. And thanks for watching.